You're watching this week's show with Dan and Mike.
This week's show.
Back in the studio for the podcast.
Back in the podcast studio. And I don't know about you, but I had such a good time at Slam Dunk.
It was awesome.
Yes.
It was warm and muggy and
pretty
close.
much what we wanted, yeah.
It didn't rain hard. If it did, it's just spittle-spattled.
Yeah, and we both got to pretty much check out the things that we wanted to whilst we were there, because Electric Callboy was the thing that you were really gunning for.
So good.
And admittedly, due to technological issues, I was at that point trying not to throw my laptop just into something solid so that it exploded, because genuinely I get so wound up when my laptop doesn't work.
That usually happens to you at least once per festival season, and you got it done within the first few hours of the first festival. So
yeah, and well, I think next week on the proper download highlight show, we'll talk about what happened last year.
Hype show.
Yes.
Can't do the highlight show until we've been to download.
Yes, no, the hype show, sorry.
We can do a decade's worth of highlights if you want, but that's a whole different podcast.
I mean, can you imagine if we actually went through and found everything awesome that we did? 'Cause we had the year that we went to download and asked everybody what the mosh pit meant to them, and
it's like a beam of light that comes down from heaven.
Thank you, Three Doors Down, for the weirdest but most wonderful answer to that.
But we'll get into that next week.
Yeah.
We're still, coming down from, Slammy D.
Well, for me, it was the fact that I finally actually got to see I See Stars live.
You did see Stars.
I did see
and
Stars.
And you got to interview Devon.
And it was one of those where I was like, oh, the interview's becoming possible. And then it was like, you're getting the vocalist as well, which, because that's the main thing I relate to. I've never been successful in a band, but it was as a singer sort of screaming vocals. That's the thing I can really relate to in an interview. We're not guitarists. We get that they do widdly things with...
The stringsman.
Yeah, the stringsman, but I always feel the most comfortable when I got a vocalist. So realising that I get to speak to my favourite band, and it's the vocalist, so we could chat about that.
Plus, to be fair, most people that watch this, they're probably going, we only know the front man of the band, or if they've got a really, really famous guitarist.
Yeah, a bit like, do you remember the film Almost Famous?
Yes.
Where the guitarist was more like the popular member of the fake band.
Yeah.
That still happens from time to time.
But then saying that, nowadays you can have a front man, woman, person, human that's fronting the band that's famous as part of the band, but you could have a drummer or a keyboard player or someone that's really well known as a production or a TikToker or a YouTube star.
I mean, again, there was Twitchers for a while, but that's kind of moved to podcasting now.
I think they're called bird spotters, maybe.
But I was just thinking, how good would it be if somebody like Download actually convinced the actors from Almost Famous to bring the fake band Stillwater to a festival to play a gig? I mean, I would love that.
Only if they were warming up for Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap 2 is
imminent.
Imminent, yeah. It's being done.
Not only that, but I know that you're going to love this as much as me. Happy Gilmore 2?
With Eminem.
With Eminem in it?
Yeah,
I mean,
I've seen that trailer.
Come on.
Doesn't even look like him to start off with. It's like, is that Marshall?
Yeah, no, and I love, it's the old thing is people think that he takes himself really seriously, and don't get me wrong, he takes aspects of what he does very seriously, but he's actually got like such a wicked sense of humour about himself.
He has got comedic chops.
Yeah.
He's done cameos in a fair few films, Eminem, and he's quite happy to send himself up.
Oh, completely. Even if it's like the serious Eminem that he sends himself up, like,
he's like stoic.
I love it.
He's like,
yeah, absolutely. And for me and you, we've watched Eminem's entire career as well. Watched him live at Reading Festival.
I've seen him live a fair few times, to be fair. I saw him live at Reading Festival when I used to go as a punter to Reading Festival, and he came on with Marilyn Manson to do, I can't even remember the tune off the top of my head. Tell us in the comments below, and whilst you're doing that, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Done.
But yeah, Eminem was doing his kind of thing. He was in that chainsaw ice hockey mask kind of thing. And then there's Marilyn Manson just on it, like towering above him, like resting his arm on Eminem's head, just like doing his Marilyn Manson thing. There's too many M's in that.
I was going to say...
Marilyn
Manson.
Yeah.
It's going to be easier when Marilyn goes out with old Ronnie in Falling in Reverse. That's going to be easier to say together, isn't it, than Eminem and Marilyn Manson all in one?
Yeah, I don't think they'd tour together now, where Eminem and Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, but we might see Ronnie, because that is a...
I think they're doing some dates together in the States. Dates in the States.
Dates in the States.
We're all about these words today, aren't we?
This is not like literally just because I remembered I wanted to do a re-listen, currently getting through a lot of music whilst I'm driving around. And I know that we've talked about it not on a podcast in general, but I still find it fascinating. Years and years ago, as you very well know, because I made you listen to it on many gigs home, I liked Blessed by a Broken Heart. That sort of
remember them.
Rock and roll metalcore crossover.
We interviewed them somewhere, I think.
Like very early days. Audio only, I think.
Oh, it would have been audio only with one of those little Tascam ordered off Timu before Timu was around kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was like, but yeah, I remember them.
And then, so big fan for especially the album Feel the Power. That was like the album that really sold me to them. Years and years pass, and I'm sat there in the pandemic.
As most people were.
Yeah, doom scrolling like there was no tomorrow, because it did feel like there was no tomorrow.
There was no tomorrow.
And of course, Sam Ryder, our Eurovision Song Contest
in space.
Yeah,
only dogs could hear that, and bats.
Only Sam can actually do those notes. But I still find it just incredible because I was sat there and it was like, I was just looking into Sam Ryder for whatever reason. I'm a bit of a nerd. I like finding out details. And then I was like, wait, he was in Blessed by a Broken Heart? So...
I knew that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't tell you, like, when Eurovision was on or something, going like, we've interviewed this guy's band when he was in a band, not a Euro pop.
And the funny thing is on Feel the Power of the album, if I remember correctly, this is years and years old knowledge, he was the guitarist and backing vocalist. He wasn't the lead singer on most of their recorded stuff.
Did he do the high-pitched stuff?
He did some of it, but he also became their vocalist when the vocalist they had left.
Okay.
He had this most amazing sort of chops, mustache as well. There's
Hetfield-esque?
Kinda, yeah. There's an amazing video with him with that, where he's doing an acoustic version of Skate or Die. And you can tell even then, like, boy's got lungs and like clearly did a lot of singing even when he was just a guitarist.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, I don't know the details of why Blessed by a Broken Heart decided to hang up their strings and their sticks.
They should come back.
I think they have, but not with...
Warming up for Spinal Tap and the other band you mentioned.
But obviously Sam really doesn't need Blessed by a Broken Heart anymore, because he's
blessed by the touch of Eurovision. And
touch of TikTok as well, because that's the only reason he got the Eurovision in the first place, was singing in his garden shed, I believe it was. He just decided he was going to start doing like little ditties and performing things he likes. That's why there's always a little bit of we're trying this today, we're going for this type of thing.
Yes.
I love the way he does his videos, but what I love is not only did he go to Eurovision, he's done like the Jubilee as well.
He's done all the major festivals as well. It's just like, I think the UK would have actually won Eurovision with the song that he did if it hadn't been for Putin invading Ukraine.
The situation there.
Ukraine won.
Oh, well, naturally.
Naturally is, a sympathy.
Show support.
That's the word. Not a sympathy.
No, it's a show of support. It's you show a country like that.
Joint winners.
Yes.
But we ended up hosting anyway, because obviously the winners get to host. And,
no, maybe not the best idea.
Yeah, not the best.
Nah, but the reason I bring up all of this is I just want the entire world to know that us as rock and metal heads, we had Sam first. Sam's ours. All of his success is because of rock and metal.
I've got another one like that for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Katy Perry. She might be an astronaut apparently now that she's been up there and back. There is actual footage of her on Warped Tour, crowd surfing and jumping off of stage. I can't remember who it was.
I remember this, but I can't remember who it is either.
Yeah, she was with a band. You lot can tell us in the comments, but there is footage on YouTube. I've seen it with my own four eyes.
She was in the band for like 6 months a year or something like that, and they made it to Warped Tour. Yeah. No, you're not wrong on that one.
So
we had her first as well. Rock and metal creates legends.
And Lady Gaga is obviously a metalhead.
Oh, naturally.
She is. If you listen to her new album, Mayhem, it's all inspired by like Radiohead and Nine Inch Nails. There's pop bangers in the album. Yeah. But it's got that industrial kind of darkness to it. Which
you and me both knew about for a long time, but the internet may have forgotten about it. Skrillex was an emo vocalist before he became a drum and bass legend.
Yes.
And his stuff isn't bad when in the emo band,
what were they called?
I can't remember. Again, tell us in the comments, what was Skrillex's original band?
We are so old.
Right? But I love doing this type of thing because sometimes you see somebody come the other way, where they've had a career somewhere else and then they decide to do something heavy. You've got people like Charlie Simpson.
Yes.
That he's dipped in and out of heavy music and he's done pop stuff and he's done whatever pretty much he wants, even if it's masked.
Apparently. Rumour has it he's in a masked band.
And he's got, the Oval Office.
Yes.
But yeah, it was just something that I was chatting, because the reason why I sometimes think about this stuff is our manager was taken on with us because of her prowess with managing social media and a lot of what we do.
Nerd.
The heaviest band that she'd ever listened to before joining us was Patent Pending.
They're pretty heavy.
Yeah, who we love. We absolutely love Patent Pending.
There is nothing wrong with Hey Mario. It's a proper banger.
So it's really fun educating her on like these weird things that have happened over the years. But yeah.
Just thought of another one. Very modern.
Oh.
Poppy.
Yeah.
Listen to her first stuff. It's very pop orientated, and now she's going out with baby metal and doing tracks with Knock Loose. It's like...
I mean, and Bad Omens as well. They did that.
That BAN is awesome.
Though, and that reminds me, because you were saying about doing different styles. Did you see what Richard Osmond said about Sleep Token? Is if you pack it in a suitcase, it would get through airport scanners because there's no metal in it.
Well, there goes our interview at Download.
I mean, Vessel was, he requested 2 interviewers only, and it was me and you, and I've just gone and ruined it now.
But how often do you find a vessel that's made of metal? Normally it's like porcelain or,
I mean, I'm just impressed that Richard Osmond gave an opinion on Sleep Token. Like, clearly he's been hanging out with Ramesh and Rob Beckett after their little
dalliance
with Bleed From Within. Make sure that you do go and check out Rob Beckett and Ramesh performing
at Download
with Bleed From Within. But it's particularly the getting ready footage that's hilarious when Rob Beckett's trying to do like proper deathcore. Yeah, like well, mate, and still like using the normal voice. He couldn't work out how to get the sound, which I can't do by the way anymore. There we go.
Flemmy.
I was going to say so. That's because you're used to talking to your cat. Yeah, they like to tell you when they're about to hairball.
Oh, I thought I was hairballing.
Well, that's why he actually has a lot of hair. He just licks it all off.
Same with the cat.
She
has a lot of hair, but I lick it off.
I was going to say, you really should stop licking your cat.
That's why I get furballs.
Oh, brilliant.
At least I don't do the backwards breakdancing.
Yeah, no. Bringing it back to something else, I just want to shout out Gala PR.
Yes.
For doing an absolutely top-notch job of looking after us and all of our press friends at Download, at Slam Dunk, because
You're getting too hyped too soon.
I am getting too... Well, it's because it's Download.
Finish this festival and then we'll get on to Download.
But no, we had a new press area, and the reason why we liked it so much is it was so much quieter than previous years.
Yeah, there's no real bleed from... any of the stages, which was nice, and it was surrounded by trees, and it was in the VIP area, so we could just go out and get
chill.
food and drink without getting in queues that last for 3
because
years.
we don't get long in between having to do different various parts of work. In fact, I got like 5 phone calls whilst I was watching I See Stars because press duty was calling.
Where are you, dude? The band's here, but you've taken the camera.
Well, that's why we had I See Stars footage.
Yeah.
Also, I wasn't expecting it because I thought, based on the, and I should never trust press timings, because you get like a list of timings, and what you can do at the start of this, just set fire to it, because it's nobody's fault, and in fact, the PRs we work with are always so apologetic of things not going to timing, but that's part of the fun and the craziness of being in a press area, is you don't know whether you're going to get like a 20-minute gap to properly work out what you're doing next, or like both me and Mike have had, where if I'm his cameraman, I'll just grab the member he's just been speaking to of one band, whip them out of screen and go, oh, by the way, you're now doing this with no prep.
We go, I'll just take those off you and
Quick, switch places.
Yeah.
Switch places.
tag.
Though I think we have both done, because what was our record at Download? We did something like 63 interviews across 3
that ain't
days.
happening again.
No, like
I think the best one is Takedown Festival, where I was comparing one of the stages. So I was DJing when the bands went on and just doing, hype and all that kind of stuff. Thinking I'd be able to get out and do a few interviews. So I booked everyone that played at that festival.
Yeah, because Takedown.
Everyone that played at that festival.
Takedown was our level of festival. It's awesome. It's back, by the way. You can go to Takedown again.
Oh yeah. It's already happened this year.
Yeah, so next year go.
Yeah, I booked everyone that on the bill.
Yep.
All 150 acts, I think you said was at one stage. But
it was definitely a conveyor belt. We had another member that was supporting me in the press area, but it was literally, I remember looking up at one point in an interview, and I had 3 bands queued waiting to do an interview with me, and it's what got me to be such a confident festival interviewer.
Yeah, luckily you'd got rid of your notepad
by that point. But I was definitely I went into a proper ADHD manic mindset to keep on top of it. I was just saying all sorts of weird stuff. That's where we met somebody we talked about on the podcast quite a lot, being Smiley Dave. As well.
Oh, yes.
Because he was being just as loud next to me. So after all the interviews were over and we were sat outside watching various people struggle with the amount of alcohol they had imbibed.
That was the festival where that girl face planted.
Well, firstly, she threw up in her handbag. Then
put it down and then
face planted,
carried on into it, and Mary Poppins style.
I believe that she actually shattered her wrist at the same time. And shout out to Takedown's organisers. It was less than 10 seconds before somebody from security had picked up on it. Security went first to make sure nobody bothered her, and it was less than 2 minutes before medical staff were already looking after her and making sure she was safe.
To be fair, I've worked security at gigs, and the security were probably paying attention to her because she was making such an art of herself, throwing up in her handbag, and they're probably going, "Hey up, mate!" And then also, right, come on, and they were on it. So that's part and parcel, isn't it, of being a doorman? You've got to have that banter, and especially with your mate, and then flick the switch and you can dive straight in, and you have to, look after people.
You know what I'm going to go for next?
Napalm Death?
Yep.
Wales?
So
with Stocksy?
We were with Matt Stocks, fantastic podcast, Life in the Stocks, make sure you check it out.
There hasn't been any for a little while because he's actually doing a degree.
Yeah, self-development.
As an adult, a grown human going back to university to get another degree.
We are so proud of him.
Love you, Matt. Yeah.
But we all stood there, and there was a dude that had another dude on his shoulders. He came off badly, and the dude that was on the shoulders hit the ground hard. And we didn't even say anything to each other, did we? You just went straight to the sound desk to get everything shut down.
And then to the first day.
Yeah. Whereas I knew that that's what he was going to be doing. So what I did was I went straight up to where the kid was, grabbed the biggest, most like sort of hairy guys that I could find. I didn't know anybody. Like this was me just, I immediately grabbed about 5 of them and I was like, right, form a circle.
You built a wall of peace, not a wall of death.
Yeah, form a circle around this. And what I love about metalheads is I was just telling people what to do, but as soon as they realised why, I had that, and then within 2 minutes,
just like,
and within 2 minutes we had 10 people.
Yeah.
Because the other big guys nearby realised what we were doing, and then we formed such a safe thing.
Because I spoke to the sound guy, they got the word to Barney on stage, and he stopped the gig, and they just sat back on the rider.
Lights went up.
Yeah, it was.
And even the medical staff, when they got to us, it was like a parting of this protective circle. And I remember them, it wasn't to us that they said it. It was just like one of the things they said to themselves. They're like, Jesus Christ, this is well looked after. Like, I
think they were just lucky that Napalm Death weren't playing one of their long songs that last for about 6 seconds, because that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, no. But again, I love the way that Barney dealt with it, because he immediately just went, look, there's somebody injured in the pit. We're going to be distracting to the medical staff if we stay on stage. We're going to head off stage.
Yeah,
we'll get this sorted, and then we'll come back on.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened, and the guy ended up being all right. He just took a bit of a head knock, and they made sure that he came round fine and all this sort of stuff.
You know, concussions.
It's not just mosh pits, people. If you see somebody struggling at any part of the gig, and you've got 2 people, leave one with them to make sure they're okay, send the other one off to find security.
Simple as. Yeah. Useful tips here.
You know it.
Talking of people going down and hitting the floor hard.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to bring up next.
We can chill out now from Slam Dunk. That's done for this year. Although next year, I think Papa Roach would be a good bet.
Yeah.
Downloads next week, but there is something that we're both into that's happening beforehand. Cash in the Attic! Sorry, Money in the Bank. Although, to be fair, some of the guys that wrestle, they are quite old, so they could be known as relics. I'm new to wrestling, so...
You are still quite new, but...
Don't hate me.
The funny thing is even you were upset by some of the news going into Money in the Bank, because R-Truth got released. I'm not believing a lot of the internet, because I have a lot of pages that the algorithm decides I need to read, because they're all quite negative and opinionated.
When you say released...
this is the thing. He got to the end of his contract.
Out of the organisation?
No. This is the thing with releasing, is it's different to being fired. Fired is when you're under contract and they get rid of you early. Yes. Released is when you come to the end of your contract.
And you don't get a re-sign.
Well, he got offered, according to John Coachman, he got offered a re-sign for less money because his screen time is limited, and he's mostly there for the comic value. And we don't know. This is the thing. Every internet page is all just assuming stuff. We don't know how R-Truth actually feels about the contract renewal. He's 53 years old.
What?
Yeah, 53. And you saw him at Saturday Night's Main Event, wrestling like he's still 25. But R-Truth might actually also want to get away from the pressure of having to be Mr. Funny Guy on wrestling screens every week.
So as I was saying, R stands for relic.
Relic Truth.
So I've still got time to enter WWE.
Yeah, just about. You're going to be fine. We just need to come up with, you probably use the name on the show.
Can you smell what the mic is cooking?
And as we found out from Chris Jericho many years ago in an interview. Strudel.
The Rock cooks strudel.
Yeah. I love, because Carlito also got released, big hair, does the apple. But what was brilliant is he's got such a good sense of humour that he said, this was on Twitter, I'm talking to my lawyers, but unfortunately after they reviewed the last 6 months of me on screen, they said that I don't have a case. Basically inferring that all he does is mess things up, eats apples, and is just there for a bit of fun.
So it's a bit like getting dropped by your record label.
Kind of. And
once your contract's up, if you're not making the label money, but you've paid back your dividends, then...
Or if you just
resign?
Again, one of the things that I think it was between Cody Rhodes and Chris Van Vliet that they said, is one, wrestlers support wrestlers. They don't care whether it's WWE versus AEW or versus TNA or NXT or any of these.
Yeah.
Wrestlers just support wrestlers. And sometimes...
It's only hate in the ring, really, isn't it? It's all for show. It's
actually more hate in the fans. Is AEW fans create, and WWE fans, not saying one or the other, but fandom creates the drama, not the wrestlers themselves. And there's been spitballing around. Bubba Ray has done a very funny thing where he said, I want R-Truth to turn up to AEW and keep pretending it's WWE, because that would be absolutely hilarious. But if you want to see why it's worth moving around, you have to go no further than Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes
Has he been around a bit, has he?
Well, he was in the WWE for years as Cody Rhodes. One of the really fun eras of him before he became the American Nightmare was copying his brother Goldust by becoming Stardust. And he's going around, and he did that so well.
Did he come onto the tune, Stardust? Yeah, Goldust, is it?
Not sure, no.
Stardust, one or the other. There's a tune like that. It's like a dancey, poppy tune.
Though, one thing, just a quick side note, he did appear in the TV show Arrow, I kid you not, as a Stardust, that's the drug in the show, a Stardust dealer, which I just thought was hilarious. But no, he had, and don't get me wrong, Cody was funny, he's done comedy, he's done heel work, he's done everything, but he had to get away from WWE. Not because WWE was necessarily bad for him, but he had followed every avenue, went away, collected himself, rebranded himself. We now have American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, which did incredible in AEW, and then brought that vibe to WWE, and we've had what you've been following for the couple of years is like that. So I don't think it's a bad thing if people get released from WWE and go to AEW, because look what's happened with Edge. He's been able to work with his old tag partner Christian again. You've got Ricky.
Well, if I can put it into some sort of context that I might understand, it's like you start off and you play small venues, then you get to a certain level and you play arenas for, that's all you can play until you're doing festivals, and then you work your way up to headliner.
Yeah.
And then you've headlined festivals around the world for so long that you end up becoming your own stadium or putting on your own festival.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, you're still just on that top level, but you're doing the sort of your reunion gigs and
or like Metallica did, where they decided that performing with Lady Gaga was something interesting. Or
second mention of the show.
Yeah. Who was the one that did Lulu with them that unfortunately passed away? Lou Reed.
Yeah, there's that.
Not for everybody, but for them it was interesting and it was something different. It's why we also had the 2-night tour that hit download in their 20th
still
anniversary.
Going now. They're coming back to do a couple of nights in London and Cardiff.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So it's creating like interest. Another thing that kind of reminded me of it is what you said that Tom Brady did. Because didn't he go to another team?
Yeah, he won everything he could do with the Patriots and then went, I want a new challenge because it's Bill's playbook.
Yeah.
I've learned everything. I want to try something new. And Tom Brady being Tom Brady went to Florida and won the Super Bowl that same year. Could have just stayed with the Pats one more year. Anyway, it's out season, so it doesn't matter. And
going back to wrestling, before we talk about the actual matches at Money in the Bank, keep your eye on what's happening with Miz and Gunther, because both of them have removed all mentions of WWE from their X account.
I've seen that, yeah. And Gunther says he wants to fight the winner of Money in the Bank.
Yeah, it's
Logan Paul.
It's either Logan or no, it's Gunther and Jay already have a match booked. So it was what they did at the main event, where it was Jay versus Logan. He has a Raw match with Jay because Jay won that match. So it's the Raw.
But he hasn't wrestled for a while, Gunther. He's always.
Oh, he's just slapped people about, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because Pat McAfee, it was a good, fun match.
That wasn't. Yeah, that was like watching Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, wasn't it?
Yeah, one professional and one. Not saying that Pat McAfee isn't a professional, but they definitely did, and that's why they did the respect handshake at the end.
Oh yeah, it's all love.
Yeah.
You know, the following. Was it Raw where Gunther came out and literally pointed down to the commentator table and said, I respect what you did. You stood up for your friend who I was picking on, and you
Yeah.
Duked it out
And you actually took because the thing is if you take chops from Gunther, he kind of respects you afterwards.
Well, it's like not that Raw, but the following week, so 10 days after the wrestle, the bout, the fight, whatever you want to call it.
Match.
McAfee still had bruises on his chest from the.
Yeah. And you remember when I went to the Principality Stadium in Cardiff with my other wrestling
yes.
watchers? It was Sheamus, the ginger one, with Gunther for like a proper brawlers match. Now, we were in the nosebleed seats quite far back because, that's all where we were able to get.
Cheap seats.
But I kid you not, you could hear those chops in the cheap seats from both of them because both of them are known as brawling, hard chopping people. So quite excited to see whether Gunther can go across and just demolish everything in AEW if he does get released. Or he could be looking for a little bit of time off because he's done a lot of what he wants to do in WWE. He's held the Intercontinental title for a very metal amount of time, which was 666 days. He then got the world title and had a really good run on that. But he supports the business and putting people over. So if he's not there helping himself as much as he helps his fellow wrestlers, he might need a new challenge. He doesn't need to reinvent himself because he's still in the best reinvention of himself that he's done because he was one of those ones that joined NXT as a really big lad and
shrunk down a bit to
a lot
get fit,
and he's
fit and that kind of thing.
And I love the fact that he's not one of those ones that is clearly popped the whole time. He's just bloody strong. So
Austrian.
Yeah.
They build them strong, They got to hike up mountains to get to school in the morning.
Do you have a call as to who you think's going to win Money in the Bank for the males? Because I have my call, which I'm not sure.
I think it will be John Cena.
No, he can't. He's already the champion. So if the Money in the Bank gives you the contract to challenge the champion.
In that case, it'll be John Cena versus Jey Uso, won't it?
No. At Money in the Bank, you've got 6 people: Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Penta, Andrade, and Large Coffee. All competing to get the briefcase, which means they could then challenge either Jey Uso or John Cena.
In that case, I would say it's going to be Seth freaking Rollins.
You reckon?
Because it'll play out the entire storyline for the year then, won't it? Because then
they've had a very successful one with him and the briefcase before.
Yeah, but he's got this whole thing at the moment, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm the future.
I'm the future. So if he wins that, he can then take Jey Uso.
It's one of the ones that he wants to take, but he could also go after the Undisputed with the same briefcase because it gives him the option of both.
And what that'll be for SummerSlam, I guess.
They can use it any time. It's often used in such a way that somebody's just lost a match or just won and it was a hard win, and then the Money in the Bank winner comes in and takes a steal off of them a bit like Damian Priest stole it from Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
After Drew just beat Seth for the title. My call is LA Knight. Because I reckon LA Knight's got, the presence. He loves a good chase. He's very good on the mic if he's chasing something. Walking around with the briefcase, I think, is a good look on LA Knight.
But then, that could open up a storyline for Seth to go after LA Knight, I guess, because...
There's lots of different things. I really don't know, so I'm going to go with a theory that somebody told me because they think it would create the best thing. So shout out Jack for this one. But for the women's Money in the Bank, I reckon it's going to be Naomi.
That's the one with the hair.
And the caution tags everywhere.
Yeah. She's good.
Yeah, and she's
not Lev, but that's just my favourite wrestler.
I mean, I think it's pointless putting it on Rhea because she is strong enough just to have title shots anyway.
She could take on Gunther and win.
But she's really good. But I reckon if it's not Naomi, it might be Alexa Bliss because she's so hot property right now. Everybody's
she came back for it. It's a good comeback.
But there's also all the NXT superstars that have joined the main roster, being Roxanne, Julia, is it? Julia, and then Stephanie.
Well, Roxanne's teamed up with...
there's been a lot of team-ups recently, so...
I thought she was becoming part of the tribe that's...
Judgment Day.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Well, it's that weird storyline where women in WWE don't compete for titles as much as they compete for Dirty Dom.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking.
The weird thing.
I was thinking that possibly Liv and Roxanne would go head-to-head against each other, because if you saw the Raw where Liv came back and Roxanne was whispering in Dirty Dom's ear and she was like, "What do you think you're doing with my man?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh."
Fantastic.
So I think that's going to be a thing that would happen at some point. But you can never tell with the story writers, I guess.
I reckon, moving, because we've got our calls for Money in the Bank now, I reckon for John Cena and Logan versus Cody and Jay, I reckon this is the way...
Logan.
No, I reckon it's going to be Cody and Jay that win. Because they've already sown discord between Logan and John in their promo where they were arguing with each other. And then
Cody and John have had
they've
beef
got that,
before
they've got that
WrestleMania.
beef, but I reckon it's a way that they can make it so that John Cena loses something rather than his entire retirement run being winning everything once he gets the title.
No, I still reckon, what's he got, like 12 matches left?
12 appearances, no, about 28 appearances I think left. So that could be 12 matches.
His contract finishes in November, and I think he will take that belt with him home.
I think it's going to be taken off him by either Roman or Cody. They're going to do that.
I still think that final fight, it'll be John Cena will have the belt, he's going to take it home, and then Ric Flair will come back and go, "Why do you get it?"
I'm actually now also a record holder.
Joint record holder.
But no, I think because it's something that they do is they choose a non-title match to make somebody lose so that there is a bit of variance, it's not always just winning. But I reckon it will be because Logan screws up and therefore John Cena loses. Because don't forget, John Cena can lose by Logan Paul getting pinned rather than eating a pin himself.
That's true.
So there's variations on it. We are running on quite a bit at the moment, so do you have a call on Becky versus Lyra, which I think is the only other one that we've written down? I reckon Becky's probably going to take it this time because Lyra's won everything else up until this point.
Yeah, I think this is probably Becky's last run.
Possibly. She's so busy in everything that she does away from WWE. She doesn't need to be doing the commitment of going town to town to town to town to town.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our call for Money in the Bank.
Well, we'll find out at the weekend and report back to you on
next week's
Download Hype Show. Talking of download.
Yes, do you have, because I've actually got a prop for this part of the podcast.
Oh,
do you have
so have I.
Something that you should take, whilst people still have time to buy things?
Oh, okay.
Do you have a recommendation of what people should buy if they don't already have it? Because I do.
Sunblock.
I mean, I can understand with you why that's probably quite wise.
Yeah, I quite often wear a hat, obviously, but yeah, sunblock is an essential. Even, or if you leave your tent and it's overcast, the sun can come out at download for 30 minutes and you become very sore.
Yeah.
So sunblock's a good one, but also my prop. Stay hydrated. There's water points absolutely everywhere around the arena, in the campsites. Just stay hydrated.
Stay on your water.
Yeah, you don't realise sometimes that it's that hot when you're pounding around in a pit or jumping up and down and singing. You're exerting yourself, and you're having so much fun. Just get a pint of water in you, even if you don't necessarily rehydrate with alcohol. Try just water.
Especially if you're worried that you're having a bit of a moment, water is a very good balancer for you to tell how bad something going wrong is. Mine is
water with fruit in and cucumber. Hey, there's always one lighthead.
I know that it's a bit of a sad thing to wear for aesthetic, but this has saved my bacon trying to find stuff in my tent so many times. Especially if you can do a little sexy thing like that.
Oh.
Because then you can hold something beneath you. I'm not saying, you want to do a particular task with it.
You could do surgery. That's what you're doing then.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Surgery.
I wasn't rolling anything. I was definitely surgery. Yeah. So this is my top tip. Well, if you've still got time to get one from Amazon, they normally run off with just like AAA batteries, but saved me so much that over the years I've actually accrued 2.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I've got one as well.
Yeah. This is my top tip for last-minute purchases at download. Get yourself a head torch.
And also, don't leave your tent on site.
Yeah. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Or that human. Don't be that human that makes somebody else clean up your tent.
If you don't want it, just roll it up and stick it by the bins with the rest of your trash, don't you?
Especially because with some festivals, I'm not sure if download is the rule, is there are tent donation services, but if you leave it up, a lot of tents have to be slashed because they don't know how safe they are to enter, so they've got to open up the outsides.
And the tent donations is a great idea because, there's a lot of people in this world that need shelter right now. You might have slept in it 3 nights at a festival and be done with it, and you can buy another one for 50 quid next year when you go to another festival. That 50 quid tent will, save a family.
You never know. So that's everything that we have for this week. Jesus, that was a lot of information.
It was.
I think that's probably one of our longest ones. Manager, is that one of our longest ones?
It really is.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we will
Next
wrap
week
up.
it'll be a short one because we'll be talking so fast because we'll be so hyped for download.
Yeah, can't wait. So make sure you tune in next week. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to catch all of our updates, and find us on social media for backstage stuff. From Slam Dunk is already up. We got backstage stuff coming up at Download. So yeah, find us at Mike James Rock Show on any network.
Try and listen to our radio show that we do.
Link is below for our radio show. 2 hours of new music and conversation every week.
Until next week.
Toodles.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this week's show podcast. We have got some pretty exciting stuff coming up. Obviously, we're going to Download. We talked about that a lot. We're going to do a blog. However, make sure that you do a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because we are starting a new series of podcasts underneath the same name. You don't have to go anywhere different. But we're digging stuff out of the 18 plus years that we've been going on the show. So make sure that you stay tuned. That's going to be up before our Download Hype podcast. And we can't wait to get into some of the stuff that we've done in the 18 years that we've been a radio show now that we're a podcast as well. Make sure you check it out.